السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله على إحسانه وشكر له على تفضله وامتنانه، ولا إله إلا الله تعظيما لشأنه، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله داعي إلى رضوانه وعلى آله وأصحابه وإخوانه. أما بعد، يا من يرى ما في الضمير ويسمع، أنت المعد لكل ما يتوقع، يا من يرجى لشدائد كلها، يا من إليه المشتكى والمفزع، يا من خزائن رزقه في قوله كن، أمن فإن الخير عندك أجمع، ما لسوى فقر إليك وسيلة، فبالافتقار إليك فقر أدفع، ما لسوى قرع لبابك حيلة، فلئن رددت فأي باب أقرع، ومن الذي أدعو وأهتف باسمه، إن كان فضلك عن فقيرك يمنع، حاش لمجدك أن تقنط عاسيا، الفضل أجزل والمواهب أوسع. إخواني في الله, we are continuing with our lecture series regarding the signs of the day of judgment. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَقَدْ جَاءَ أَشْرَاطُهَا, that the signs of the day of judgment, they have appeared. We took in the previous lecture sign number 28, كَثْرَةُ الشُّحْ. There will be a lot of stinginess in the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ سَاعَةً, he says, مِنْ أَشْرَاطِ السَّاعَةِ أَنْ يَظْهَرَ الشُّحْ. From the signs of the day of judgment, there will be a lot of stinginess. People will be mean. And we mentioned that some of the Arabs reached such a high level of stinginess that they wrote books. They started writing books on the stories of how people was stingy and mean. Amongst them, Jahid from the Mu'tazila sect. We mentioned, for example, that one day three stingy people, they had a meeting. They said the people are complaining about us that we are too stingy, that we do not give sadaqah. Today we have to show the people that we are not stingy. So the first one, he said, I'll take all my money, I'll draw a circle, I'll throw my money in the air, and whatever money lands in the circle is mine. Whatever lands outside the circle, I shall give it out in sadaqah. The second one, he says, I'll do the same. I'll draw a line, a straight line, and I'll take all my wealth and I'll throw it up in the air. Whatever of my money falls on the right hand side, it is mine. Whatever falls on the left hand side is for the fuqara. And the third one, who is the most stingy of them all, he said, I'll do the same like the two brothers have done. I'll take all my wealth, I'll throw it up in the air. Whatever remains in the air is for the poor people, and whatever reaches the ground is for myself. Another one, he went to the store where he bought an ibriq and a sahan. He bought a kettle and a plate. And he says to the owner or the person in the shop, Uktub, write on the kettle, فَمَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Whoever drinks from it is not from me. And write on the sahan, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَطْعَمْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي. Like the verses in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Talut was telling his army not to drink from the river, this man is writing on the sahan. So some of the Arabs reached such a bad level of being stingy and miser that they even wrote books about it. Amongst them, Kitab al-Bukhala by Al-Jahid. Sign number 29. Kathratu tijara. There shall be a lot of business, ikhwani fillah. From the signs of the day of judgment, there shall be a lot of business, there shall be a lot of commerce, a lot of trade, so much so that a wife will have to leave the house and come and join the husband in business. There'll be so much trade, so much business, that the wife, the mother, she leaves the house and she comes, joins the husband in business. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ سَاعَةً تَسْلِيمُ الْخَاصَةِ. Before the day of judgment, people, Muslims, will only greet Muslims that they know. I don't know him, I'm not going to greet him. I don't know him. And this is a sin, we're going to look at it later. Taslimul khasa. Then he says, وَفُشُوءُ التِّجَارَةِ. And business will become very widespread. There'll be so much trade, so much commerce. حَتَّى تُشَارِكَ الْمَرْأَةُ زَوْجَهَا فِي التِّجَارَةِ. Until a woman or a wife will join the husband in business. And we are seeing it clearly in many of the countries, and more particularly in our community. From the Somali community, we are seeing this from the signs of the day of judgment. The Prophet ﷺ, he says, إِنَّ مِنْ أَشْرَاتِ السَّاعَةِ أَن تَفْشُوَ الْمَالِ وَيَكْثُرْ وَتَفْشُوَ التِّجَارَةِ. From the signs of the Day of Judgment is that there will be a lot of wealth. So much wealth, and there shall be a lot of business, and the women shall join the men in doing business. So this is sign number 29. The Prophet ﷺ, he says to his ummah, that is not afraid for us that we shall become poor. Our Prophet ﷺ is not afraid for us poverty. He's afraid for us wealth. When we become rich, that is when tragedy will befall this ummah. The Prophet ﷺ says, Wallahi, ma faqra akhsha alaykum. Wallahi, I'm not afraid of poverty for you. Walakinni akhsha alaykum an tubsata al-dunya alaykum kama busitat ala man kana qablakum fatanafasuha kama tanafasuha wa tuhlikukum kama ahlakathum. What I fear for you, O Muslims, what I fear for you is you become very wealthy and you start competing with each other like the previous ummahs, the previous nation, they used to compete with wealth. فَتُهْلِكُكُمْ وَتُهْلِكُكُمْ كَمَا أَهْلَكَتْهُم. And it shall destroy you, O Muslims, like it destroyed them. Ikhwani fillah, from the greatest examples you can see in our history is the story of Andalus. The great civilization of Muslim Spain and Muslim Portugal. Muslims reached such a level of civilization, such a level of wealth, until there was so much israf in the ummah. Remember I told you the story of Ibn al-Abbad, al-Mu'tamid ala Allah ibn Abbad. This man, one day his wife sees people playing in the mud, and she wishes to play in the mud. The husband says, no, my wife plays in the mud, no, I shall get for you special mud. And he goes and he buys expensive sand, he mixes it with kafur, and he mixes it with misk and all the expensive perfumes, and it allows her to play. It costed him maybe 1 million dirham, about $1 million or $2 million at the time, just for some mud for him, for their wife to play with. The wife played with the mud for 2-3 days, and she got bored, and that went israf. Later on, when his kingdom fell, and he had to run away to Morocco, and the wife was complaining, you have not done anything, you have not done anything. Says to her, وَيَوْمُ don't you remember the mud I bought for you? Ikhwani fillah, Muslims reached such a level of israf, and that is one of the things that led to their destruction. So if you see an ummah of Muslims enter in the dunya, they shall forget the akhirah. So from the signs of the Day of Judgment is kathratu tijara. There shall be a lot of commerce, a lot of business. Hatta tusharik al-mar'a zawjaha fi tijara. Sign number 30. Kathratu zalazil. From the signs of the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى تكثر الزلازل. The hour will not come until there shall be a lot of earthquakes, there shall be a lot of tremors in the lands of the Muslims. The Prophet ﷺ says, بين يدي ساعة موتان شديد وبعده سنوات زلازل. They shall come before the Day of Judgment times of earthquakes. Ikhwani fillah, do you remember 2004 what happened? December 26, we wake up and there's a great earthquake in Indonesia, the largest country of the Muslims. And this earthquake is so great that it causes a tsunami. And millions or hundreds of thousands, the least estimate is 240,000 Muslims lost their lives. In Indonesia, a Muslim country. In Maldives, a Muslim country. In the shores of India, it reached up to Somalia and Mombasa. Some people even lost their lives in Mombasa, in Somalia. 2004, December 26, a great tragedy in the lands of Muslim, an earthquake. 2005, another earthquake happened in Kashmir. Many Muslims lost their lives. 2006, again Indonesia. 2007, in Bangladesh. So from the signs of the Day of Judgment is that there shall be a lot of earthquakes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhan nasu attaqu rabbakum inna zalzalata as-sa'ati shay'un adhim. O people, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Indeed, the tremors on the Day of Judgment are something great. Ibn Hajar rahimahullah, he says that you have seen earthquakes everywhere, to the east, to the north, and to the south. But there will come a time where 24 hours or a whole week or a whole month, the earth is just shaking. And that shows that the time of judgment is very close. As narrated by the Prophet ﷺ from the hadith of Abu Hawala, he says, يا ابن حوالة إذا رأيت الخلافة قد نزلت أرض المقدسة فقد دنت الزلازل والبلايا والأمور العظام. He says to Ibn Hawala, if you see that the Khilafah, the Muslims have gotten back their Khilafah in the land, in the Ard al-Muqaddasa, in the land of Syria, the land of Asham, فَقَدْ دَنَتَ الزَّلَازِل, then the earthquakes and the balaya and the great things will happen to the ummah. So from the signs of the Day of Judgment, sign number 30 is كَثْرَةُ الزَّلَازِل. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from it. Sign number 31, ظهور الخسف والمسخ والقطف. Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام says, يكون في آخر هذه الأمة خسف ومسخ وقذف. قلت يا رسول الله أنهلك وفينا الصالحون؟ قال نعم إذا كثر أو إذا ظهر الخبث. The Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he says, from the signs of the Day of Judgment, three things will happen. Three things will happen to us Muslims. The earth will swallow us. A whole tribe, maybe hasn't, let me not use that example, people will get scared. The earth will swallow people. Number two, qadf. Stones will rain upon people from the heavens. Like previous nations were destroyed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And number three, al-maskh. People will be transformed into monkeys and pigs. Some people will say, monkeys and pigs, what are you talking about transformation? This goes against science. But if you read the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, He says, وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ الَّذِينَ اعْتَدَوْا مِنْكُمْ فِي السَّبْتِ فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِئِينَ. Says to the people, the Jews who used to play games on Saturday, they were told no work on Saturday, including fishing. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them imtihan, this Yahud. The fish will not come out except on Saturdays. It's like they knew this is the day of relaxing, this is the day of party. So these fish, they come in plenty on Saturdays. So this Yahud started scratching their heads. What do we do? Every day we fish, the fish is little. But on Saturday, these guys are teasing us. So they said, let us keep our nets on Friday. Then on Sunday, whatever our nets have caught, we shall take. So they were playing games, yet they knew they were not supposed to work on Saturday, the day of Sabbath, Yawm Sabt. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed for them that they shall be turned into monkeys and to pigs. And some from this ummah shall be turned into monkeys and pigs. And amongst them are the people, the Prophet ﷺ says, as we mentioned in the previous hadith, he says, إِذَا ظَهَرَتَ الْقِيَانِ وَالْمَعَازِفِ وَشُرِبَتِ الْخُمُورِ. When people start having dancing ladies, musician ladies, وَشُرِبَتَ الْخُمُورِ, and people start drinking alcohol, then you shall find these three things will happen. Al-qatfu wal-maskhu wal-khasf. The earth will swallow them, the same way who was swallowed in the Quran. Which story in the Quran? Someone was swallowed. Who's the famous person in the Quran who was swallowed? Now? Qarun. From the story of Nabi Musa alayhi salam. Taib. Wa-maskh also happened to the Yahud. Why? Because they broke their promise on Saturday. And qadf, stones raining from the heavens, happened to the people of Lut, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah, the people of homosexuality. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed them in various means, stoned them, turned the earth upon them, and punished them severely. And that land, till today, no one can live in it. That is why it's called that area the Dead Sea. So from the signs of the Day of Judgment, ikhwani fillah, al-khasfu wal-maskh wal-qadf. And the final sign, ikhwani fillah, that we shall take today is sign number 32. Dhihabu salihin. From the signs of the Day of Judgment, the Prophet ﷺ will take the righteous people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says in the Quran, وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ لِيُعَذِّبَهُمْ وَأَنْتَ فِيهِمْ وَمَا كَانَ اللَّهُ مُعَذِّبَهُم وَهُمْ يَسْتَغْفِرُونَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish them, O Prophet, and you are amongst them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not punish them, and they're making istighfar. So if you find in a community righteous people, these are the people that protect you from destruction because of their ibadah and their tawbah and their position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, sometimes the evil is so much in society, even with the presence of righteous people, it does not benefit. One day, the Prophet ﷺ, he woke up from a dream he had, and he was startled ﷺ. He was frightened ﷺ. He says, Man yukhidna sawahib al-hujarat. Who will wake up my wives? Who will wake up my wives? The wall blocking the Ya'juj or Ma'juj, it has been opened this much. And I see destruction on my ummah. My ummah shall be destroyed. Salama radiallahu anha, she asked the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, Anahliku wa fina salihun? Are we going to be destroyed, yet amongst us are righteous people? The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, Na'am. Yes, you shall be destroyed. إِذَا كَثُرَ الْخَبَثِ. If there is a lot of evil, if there is a lot of sins in society, even the presence of righteous people will not stop that adhab from falling upon you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and our families. So from the signs of the Day of Judgment, ikhwani fillah, sign number 32, ذهاب الصالحين. The Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, لا تقوم الساعة حتى يأخذ الله شريطته من أهل الأرض. The hour will not come until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take the righteous people from this earth. فَيَبْقَى فِيهَا عُجَاجًا. The evil, the worst people will remain on this earth. لَا يَعْرِفُونَ مَعْرُوفًا وَلَا يُنْكِرُونَ مُنْكَرًا. They do not command that which is good, and they do not forbid that which is evil. In a different hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, يَتَهَارَجُونَ كَتَهَارُجَ الْحُمُرِ. They shall be having intercourse on the roads the same way donkeys have it on the roads. So from the signs of the Day of Judgment, ikhwani fillah, sign number 32 is that we shall lose the righteous people. And from the greatest of the righteous people, the greatest of the musibah is losing the ulama. The alim, the scholar, is not equal to the worshipper, to the righteous person. He is much greater, and much greater in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ikhwani fillah, we repeat once again, and we've mentioned it before. Look after the ulama. Look after your sheikhs. Make dua for them always. Be good to them. For if they leave us, we lose not only their knowledge, but we also fall in this hadith where punishment and adhab will befall us. So, ikhwani fillah, in the next lecture, we shall go on with sign number 33. وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.